We have some major breaking news as it has been announced and confirmed that Matt Crafton will retire from full-time NASCAR Truck Series racing at the end of 2025, and Tai Majeski will take over the 88 starting in 2026. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, we got some pretty massive major breaking news. It has been announced that Matt Crafton will retire at the end of 2025. Here's a statement from Thor Sport Racing earlier today. For immediate release, Thor Sport Racing announces a new chapter for its story number 88 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series entry. Three-time series champion Matt Crafton will compete his full-time role after the 2025 season. His 23-year partnership with Menards is the longest-running driver primary sponsorship relationship in NASCAR history. Teammate and 2024 series champion Tai Majeski will pilot the number 88 full-time in 2026. We'll talk about Tai Majeski here in just a second, but this comes as probably a major shock for a lot of people, because Matt Crafton has been part of the Thor Sport Racing organization since around 2000 in some way, shape, or form. He made his first ever start for Thor Sport Racing back in 2000, and then he ran full-time for the organization, I believe, in 2001 and 2002 and 2003, before departing for a year or so to drive for Kevin Harvick Incorporated around 2004. But he came back to Thor Sport Racing in 2005, and while it took a long time for Matt Crafton to start winning races, he really started figuring it out. He won his first Craftsman Truck Series race in 2008 when he won at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then a couple years later, I believe he won at Iowa or something like that in 2011. And then in 2013, got another win as well, I believe, at Kansas, but went on to win the championship that season. And then from there, he had a lot of success in the mid-2010s, scored 2 wins in 2014, scored 6 wins in 2015, where he lost the championship to Eric Jones, while in 2014, he won the championship as well. Then in 2016, performance declined a little bit, but he still scored 2 victories and was able to finish in the top 5 in his hands. Actually finished runner-up in the championship that year. Then in 2017, he only scored 1 win at Eldora at the Eldora Dirt Derby, and he also still finished in competing for the championship that year in 4th. But then performance started declining around that point. Matt Crafton scored 1 final win at Kansas Speedway in 2020. We thought, oh, maybe the Matt Crafton of old is coming back. But then after 2020, his performance declined. Now, obviously, of course, he won the truck championship in 2019, despite the fact he failed to win a race that season. But really, for the last couple years, Matt Crafton's really declining. Since that year of 2020, performance has been really dropping. In 2021, Matt Crafton scored 5 top 5s, which isn't terrible for truck standards, but dropped down to 12 top 10s, which, to be fair, in 22 races is not that bad. But 2022 got worse. He only had 2 top 5s and still had 12 top 10s during that season, and still finished the playoffs and finished 17th in the points. Then in 2023, Matt Crafton competed in all 23 events, only had 2 top 5s and 9 top 10s. And he got into a fight, if I remember correctly, with Nick Sanchez during that season. Then in 2024, he only had 1 top 5 and 7 top 10s and missed the playoffs during that season. And then in 2025, he is on track to have maybe the worst season he's had in quite some time. He's had no top 5s, 0 wins, and 3 top 10s so far this year. He's only led 12 laps so far, which, to be fair, is better than last year. But he's on track to have the worst average finish of his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series career, as he only has an 18.3 average finish, and right now only has 8 lead lap finishes, which is tracking to be the least he has had since 2017, when he only won 1 race during that season. But Matt Crafton's had a storied career, a 3-time champion, 15 wins in his NASCAR Truck Series career over 26 seasons. For him to retire, it's definitely kind of sad to hear, and I know people are going to be celebrating Matt Crafton going, because I've kind of criticized Matt Crafton quite a bit in this channel for the way he's handled things over the years, but you got to respect Matt Crafton for all he has accomplished in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and it's definitely really shocking to see that he is retiring at the end of the season from full-time racing. Now, there is a chance Matt Crafton still could compete maybe on a part-time basis in 2026. I'd have to think he's going to still want to compete in some way, shape, or form. But Matt Crafton will be 50 years old in 2026, which back then, many years ago, when Matt Crafton was starting to compete, you had people in their 50s competing, like Ron Hornaday Jr., guys like Dennis Zetzer turned around 50 at that point. But at this particular moment, it made sense to make a move, because Matt Crafton just wasn't performing. The performance had been declining for the last couple years, and in general, he just had not been having a lot of success over it. So for Matt Crafton, it's sad to see he'll be retiring at the end of this season from full-time racing, but I think a new chapter was needed for the Thor Sport Racing team and organization. Now, obviously, we talked about the other side of things, and that, of course, is Tai Majeski moving over to the 88. Will he have the crew chief that Matt Crafton had, or is he still going to be working with Joe Shear Jr.? My guess is Joe Shear Jr., who's been loyal to Tai Majeski, is probably going to be the crew chief on that truck going into next season. But this makes a lot of sense. Tai Majeski's been the flagship driver. He's been the best driver that Thor Racing has had in quite some time. Hasn't won a race so far this year, but he's really been the only Thor Sport driver most of the season that has competed for wins. He should have won the race at Richmond this past week. He had the best truck, but guess what? His teammate Matt Crafton, who's retiring from full-time racing at the end of the year, he's the one who got into Tai Majeski and spun him out. I look for this to be a really good future partnership with the team because I think many of us would have liked to see Tai Majeski move up in the future, but he's found a stable home with Thor Sport Racing. And say what you want to say, he won the championship for them last year. He's had a lot of success with the program. He's been better than Ben Rhodes in recent years, and I think he's been doing a really, really good job with the Thor Sport Racing organization. So this move makes a lot of sense, and I would expect this team is going to be trying to get back up to winning speed, and having someone like Matt Crafton, who's been holding back the team a little bit, unfortunately, I think bringing someone like Majeski, who's been with the organization for quite some time, he's earned the right to take over the flagship car. It's going to be weird not seeing Matt Crafton behind the wheel of the number 88, but I think Tai Majeski is a perfect choice to get behind the wheel. Comes from that northern region. He's been really successful for a long time, and I think he's earned the right and opportunity to get a chance to drive this car, and I think that success will come back into shape for them, and I think things are going to be starting to look better going forward for him next season. For the rest of Thor Sport Racing, there's going to be some questions around the team. One of the things I wonder is, will Menard stick around with Tai Majeski? I don't think that was put in the press release, I'm pretty sure. Maybe Menards will stick around with Majeski going into next year, and they could stick around, but could they leave the team? They sponsor other drivers in NASCAR, like Ryan Blaney in the Cup Series, Austin Cindric in the Cup Series. I think they sponsored Josh Berry at one point this year. They sponsor other drivers as well, so could they move on and move to basically focusing on Cup and Xfinity next year? Same with Brandon Jones as well. I think that is certainly a possibility, but they have a lot of sponsorship connections with a lot of drivers. And then who else is going to be in the ride? I have to think Jake Garcia is going to stick around with Thor Sport Racing next year. Jake Garcia has had a decent year. He actually made the playoffs this year. He's been a lot better than Haley Deegan's been in that truck, and he's had a major career resurgence this year. And then Ben Rhodes, I'd expect to stick around next year. There's always a talk about maybe Ben Rhodes can move up, but Ben Rhodes is almost 30 at this point, which I still think he has plenty of time to get up in the Cup if he wants to, but he's had a stable ride racing in the Crafton Truck Series with Thor Sport Racing for quite some time. So why would he want to move on at that point? I think that's a big question. Will he ever move on? I think he'll probably stick around with the organization going forward in the future because he's had a lot of success. Yes, he hasn't won a race so far this year, but he's had a ton of success with the team and organization. I think he'd absolutely love to stick around and be with the team going forward in the future. But as for this, is definitely a major shock in the system for sure. And I think this is going to be one of the first major dominoes of many dominoes that are going to fall in the Craftsman Truck Series. Obviously, there's rumors of Corey Heim not returning the Tricon next year in the Truck Series, with him likely moving up to Xfinity competition. Might make some select starts at Tricon from what some people are saying, but not be there on a full-time basis. I think there's other moves that are going to be happening as well with other drivers, like what happens with Roger Carruth next year if he's going to be back with Spire. Who knows at this point? We'll keep an update on this story as time progresses, goes on, but definitely shocking to see that Matt Crafton will retire from the Craftsman Truck Series full-time runs in 2025. And good to see Tai Majeski, though, getting promoted to be full-time in the Truck Series with Thor Sport Racing in the 2026 season. So that is going to be today's special breaking news report on Matt Crafton retiring from the Truck Series full-time at the end of this year. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. List description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are thoughts about Matt Crafton retiring from full-time racing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you think Tai Majeski is going to do in that truck next season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we'll have the 2025 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series playoff predictions. We're also expected to get the schedule released potentially tomorrow, from a lot of people are saying, so expect a reaction to that tomorrow as well. If any other major news break, we'll discuss it live. On Wednesday, we're going to have a NASCAR news video, talk about this, talk about Riley Auto Parts becoming the entitlement sponsor for the Xfinity Series. Also have Xfinity Series race picks for Daytona dropping as well. We got a lot of content coming out. Other people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Cam Waters, Brock Feeney, Will Brown, Jack Perkins, other people as well, like Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, Bubba Wallace, 2011 Front Row, Junior Motorsports, Connor Zilch, Daniel Suarez, all those good people. We'll talk about them on the channel in the coming days and weeks as more news progresses and goes on. We're closing in on 4,500 subscribers, so I really appreciate the support on the channel in recent weeks, and a lot of good stuff coming out for you guys really soon as we head toward the playoffs. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel. channel like this. Take care, everybody.